Center for Spiritual Living, Leesburg. So, our theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And we are now in the month of March. And for March, our theme is the flow of coming and going. Our title for our talk today is Navigating the Tides of Life. And it will be presented by our guest speaker, Reverend Melinda Jacobs. We're so glad that you took some time out of your day to join us. Thank you so much. Sit back, relax as we begin our opening and welcoming video. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be of service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is. And so it is. All right, for those of you who join us on a regular basis, Melinda is a familiar face. For those of you who haven't heard her speak before, you're in for a treat. Let me tell you a little bit more about her. She is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and she has been assisting people in healing through and beyond past trauma for over 15 years. She'll guide you through your transformative journey with compassion and expertise. She's an eloquent speaker and just a delight. So without further ado, Melinda's going to guide us through our meditation for today, and then we'll hear some music, and then we'll return to Melinda as she presents the title of our talk today and our message. So with all that, take it, Melinda.
Thank you so much, Tamara. So let's just take this moment to pause and breathe. Just allowing the breath to be gentle and easy. Letting go of everything that has transpired up until this moment. And as you allow your body and your mind to settle, like sand through an hourglass, I invite you to watch and listen to your breath. Notice the gentle rhythm without needing to change it, because there is a wisdom here that knows how to breathe you. Allow yourself to flow with that intelligence of the body. As if you could just rest into that intelligence, into that presence, which is the divine, the holy, the sacred. Feeling the tension and the busyness falling away as you settle and sink into this sacred, eternal now moment. Recognizing the truth of this moment, your body is safe. And whether you're fully aware of the truth of this next statement, the truth of your being is you are always being cared for. And so opening up your attention now and feeling all the blessings that have come into the life, into your own sacred journey. Allowing yourself to move into that state of gratitude for the many blessings that have presented themselves throughout your lifetime. And notice if you can open yourself even more, open your heart to receive that which has not yet been made aware. Those blessings, those gifts, those opportunities, those connections. Breathe them in, for they are already in your field. And give thanks. And just resting in that gratitude, I invite you now to take a deeper breath in. And on the exhale, letting go of the meditation and coming back and opening your eyes.
If you've heard this song, or when it becomes familiar, I'd like to invite you to sing, or hum, or sway, or in some way engage with me. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open until your faith brings you back to solid ground. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open until your faith brings you back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open, though the waves wanna push me around. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open until my faith brings me back to solid ground. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. You got to keep your heart wide open until your faith brings you back to solid ground.
Thank you, Leah. I really feel like that's the message today. And so we're going to be talking about what it means to navigate the tides of life. And wow, seas have been a little stormy lately, haven't they? With our monthly topic this month is the flow of coming and going, and I saw this as I was prepping for the talk today, and I thought if my life isn't just the best example of the flow of coming and going, as some of you know, I'm packing up my home in Aurora, Colorado, and I'm getting ready for my next life adventure, closing up this chapter. I've lived my whole life in Colorado, and then I am going to move to Arizona, to Cottonwood, Arizona. And so that's my little microcosm, but then on the macrocosm, right? Everything that is within is being reflected without. And so we collectively have this interesting coming and going. And so how in the world do we navigate all of this? The reminder is change is constant. I want you to remember that change is all that the universe is doing. It's growing, it's expanding. And I think that in these moments with the coming and going, when the tides get really intense, that we can forget that change is constant. And so even this moment is going to change. I work with people all over the world, helping them move through and beyond trauma. And it's just my life's passion. I love sitting in that dark place with people when they're feeling scared and afraid, and to hold that high knowing, that high truth of the potential and the possibility and the truth of who they are, right? We get trapped in this idea that, oh no, this is my forever. When things get challenging, when the pressure builds, when that change comes, there's this panic moment. And I just want to remind us all, including myself, that this too shall pass, because nothing stays stagnant. There's nothing in this universe that isn't vibrating and moving in that spirit and that essence of love itself. So how then do we navigate and stay tuned in, stay tied in, deeply connected, like Leah said, into our faith? Our affirmation this week is, I flow in the sway of life. And how many of us, how many of you are feeling yourself tightening and gripping and holding on? I know all of us at some point are, for sure. So I have a reading for you from Eckhart Tolle. When you are bored, you can satisfy the mental hunger by reading a magazine, talking on the phone, surfing the internet, transferring to the body the mental feeling of lack and the need to always want something more and satisfying them briefly. Or you can feel bored and restless and observe the feeling of being bored and restless. I'm going to read that one again. Let me go back. Or you can feel bored and restless and observe the feeling of being bored and restless. And as you become aware of these sensations, some space and stillness will begin to emerge around them. At first, there will only be a little, but as the sense of inner space grows, the boredom will begin to diminish in intensity and significance. At first, there will only be a little bit of space, but as the sense of inner space grows, the boredom will begin to diminish in intensity and significance. So even boredom can teach you who you are and who you are not. That comes from his book called Stillness Speaks. I love this idea because what we're living in right now is lots of energy and lots of movement and lots of change. Things this week just seem to kind of flip. And I know a lot of people are feeling like, what is the truth of our being? Who are we collectively? And we can always have that question, that existential question, who am I? Who are we? And just the question itself can create the tides of change and chaos to come up. So we always will be living in a world of constant movement where life may feel like it is moving from left to right and up to down. And there's so much false information in the cyber world that can lead us to a false awakening of the ego. Seeing a lot of positioning lately and a lot of strutting around lately that people are getting all fluffed up and, playing playing with power a little bit. But that's more from our ego. Someone asked me just yesterday what I thought the spiritual meaning of all of this is. And I really sat with that question and I thought, yeah, because there is, here's the 3D world where we're working, where we live in, the world of the material, the physical. This is the world of effects. But here's the spiritual world. And here's the place where original cause lives, right? And so from this place of original cause, my belief is that we are being given yet again another opportunity to remember how powerful we are. And when we take that information and feed it to our ego is going to play powerful. And I think about the lion, it does not strut itself around in the jungle saying, oh, look at me and look how powerful I am. It just emanates because it knows itself to be power and powerful. And I think this time is really allowing us an opportunity to remember what powerful creators we are. And in creation, there's always that sense of dismantling and destruction, making room for the new, getting rid of the old, recognizing what we've created and how to bring something into its fullness. And so I believe we're looking at yet again this place of remembering just how powerful we are, not from that ego place. So in this is the mental image or an idea of who we are that comes from our cultural and social conditionings. But this ego this powerful ego, it's not really the truth of who we are. In Science of Mind, we know that which is apparently real to our senses is part of the world of effects. There is 0.00001% of our being, of our world, that's actually physical. I keep reminding myself as I'm looking out into my own life, into my community, into the world, that what I'm witnessing is a crop of corn. Just a crop of corn. And because I planted corn seeds. And so when I plant corn seeds, when we collectively plant corn seeds, we get corn. And so to remember that our thoughts and our feelings is what creates the world of the 3D, then it helps me dial back a little bit. And to remember, if I want something different, I get to plant something different. And we get to remember there's just one divine cause, just one universal force that says yes. Yes, yes, yes. It just says yes. It's indivisible, meaning it cannot be separated from itself because it is in and of itself whole. It's already complete. It is whole within itself. We're part of that wholeness. And it's that creates all things outside of itself. I saw this beautiful Science of Mind cartoon yesterday, and it was a man walking a dog, and he was in a park, and there was a tree, and there was the dog, and there was a pile of poo, and there's grass, and there's bugs, and there's plants, and there were signs pointing and labeling everything in the picture, and it said God, 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 even to the pile of poo, God. And I think that's just such a powerful thing to remember. It's really important, especially right now, to remember this oneness, this unity, that we are part of the whole. And based on the principle of oneness, we can navigate back and forth. We can navigate the ups and downs by centering and pausing. We do that when we perform an invocation or a blessing. We do that, and then we're able to observe our thoughts. What corn seeds am I planting? Free from judgment, free from criticism, and just allowing for the flow into unity consciousness with and as the whole, remembering the truth. So I want to talk about these three ideas of take a pause, watch and listen, and flow. Those were in our meditation this morning. So this idea of taking a pause, creating a pause. There's a big difference between sailing blindly out into the ocean and then sailing consciously. When we are navigating blindly, just getting up, going about the day, having our morning coffee, and just being unconscious, we're not being intentional. We do it with a desire to belong or to please others or just get through the day. We're not being conscious and intentional, but this new awakening is more than a cry of protest against customs and institutions and established rules. There's a silent cry within our being to awaken to our true nature and our being, to our own humanity. And when we look at the outpicturing the world of the 3D effects, the effects of our thoughts, can you feel it? Do you feel it, that there's a cry in your heart and your soul wanting to bring forward more humanity, more kindness, more unity? Do you feel it? So navigating the back and forth of life from this unified perspective, this wholeness perspective, we can flow and move from left to right, from up to down, always remembering, always being intentional that we're part of the whole. That's the truth of our nature. And when we're experiencing the corn and we'd rather have something else, then we get to remember, as part of the whole, I get to create something new. So I think taking a pause can feel counterintuitive. It can feel that on some level we need to stay busy, and there's this urgency and almost a panic that shows up. Or maybe there's kind of some victim energy or scarcity energy coming up. Pretty common right now. When we take that counterintuitive pause, it allows the system to settle down. It allows us to reconnect into the breath, feeling the breath as the breath of the divine, remembering the truth of our nature, and reconnecting to something beyond the physical, because we're so little of this physical. We are so much this powerful creative force. So I invite you to do the revolutionary act of taking a pause and allowing yourself to be still, even if your body and your mind feels as if that's not what you should be doing. The pause is very important. Then watch and listen in silence. I think that's the tricky part, right? In silence. At Centers for Spiritual Living, we have spiritual practices that help us center ourselves, and then from that place of centeredness, live more easily as our spiritual essence, as the truth of our being. Physically aligning our body, mind, and spirit to source, remembering we're not separate, remembering that this illusion of me and them, us and them, something other than you, outside of you, is just that. It's just an illusion. Silent meditation and attunement are just two examples of ways to watch and listen. I've heard it a lot that people say, well, I can't meditate. I can't get quiet. My mind's too busy. And some of you know I've been following Dr. Joe Dispenza. I just got back from Cancun, 5 days with him a few weeks ago. And I love how he says, people come up to me all the time. They're like, I don't know, I'm just having a hard time with meditation. I can't get my mind to slow down. I can't really seem to drop in. And he says, oh, I guess you're just not that good at it yet. I love that response, because I think that there's something about practice. It's called a spiritual practice for a reason, because we have to practice. We have to practice strengthening the muscle of silence within ourselves. We have to practice strengthening the muscle of resilience within ourselves. We have to practice remembering our spiritual nature and the truth of our being, which is wholeness, which is not the divisiveness that we are experiencing in our corn crop right now, right? It's a practice. With these practices, we can learn to carefully observe, carefully observe the noises that invade our minds. And I think that one thing that happens when we are practicing this silence and watching and listening is that we forget that we are more powerful than our minds. We just never told the voice inside to just sit down and shut up. I offer that to my clients a lot. You can just talk back to that voice and say, thank you, but no thank you. Thank you, you need to sit down now. Many of us forget that we are not victim to our minds. We're just not that good yet at taking command. at being the creator that we are, at being the authority that says, I choose what I think. I, part of the greater I am, choose right now what moves and flows through this mind. And that thought that just moved through, I'm not allowing that anymore. And there's habits and there's repetition. Again, back to practice. We get to practice being in control, in command of where we're at. We tell ourselves stories all the time. The moment we wake up, what we identify with, who we're aligned with, what we see in the mirror of life when we go out to work, to study, to shop, to our spiritual community. But when we observe what comes to our mind without judgment or criticism, another practice, but rather in a state of stillness and silence, it's easier to get out of that bubble, out of that box that we created, out of the cornfield. We created it in our mind during our life because we were unconsciously allowing creation to happen without keeping it in check. We forgot we were powerful creators. And we can begin to disidentify, separate ourselves, disentangle ourselves with whatever false lie that we've put into ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm unlovable. I can't do anything. There's nothing that I can do to stop this. As Eckhart Tolle says, when you stop believing everything you think, you step out of the thinking and you see clearly that the thinker is not who you are. You are the creator. You are the authority. You are that expression of the divine that is here to get better and to practice and to remember the truth of your being. And then flow. When we pause, when we observe our thoughts, when we step out of our ego and we begin to disidentify with what we have categorized ourselves, labeled ourselves to be, a massive shift occurs. Our energy flows and it empties out from our emotions and thoughts. You have no idea how much repressed energy that is here within your being, just waiting to be released. And when you practice and when you get better and better at pausing, watching, listening, silence, energy starts to move. And it creates an opening for the divine wisdom to live within you and express its state of oneness in your body. Intuition is always speaking to us. I tell people we are hardwired to stay safe. We are hardwired to feel the herd of humanity. We cannot escape that because it's our safety system. I've been teaching about emotional intelligence and reading some amazing information about how the nervous system sends signals. And when the nervous system, specifically the amygdala, it's always looking for danger. It's always looking for danger. And it will literally look at, feel, and recognize something familiar that from our past memory. And we have collective memory throughout history that's held right here. And if it senses something familiar, it's going to bypass this part of our brain, this prefrontal cortex, where all rational thinking, higher thinking happens. And it just goes straight up and it says, danger, danger, danger. Now, is that your intuition? I don't think so. I think our intuition is that connection to source that sees beyond our reactivity and our cellular memory. Our intuition is always speaking to us. But we have to get still. We have to watch, listen in silence to begin to really make that distinction, to understand and know what is intuition and what is my body just reacting to my environment because something feels familiar and all of a sudden it's sending a 911 emergency to the top of my brain. It's always speaking to us. It definitely speaks louder in the stillness of silence. And attunement, getting into that place of being the authority, commanding what you are, where your mind is going, that attunement helps you develop it. So listening to your heart, feeling, allowing yourself to flow without the need to control situations and without wanting to change the actions or thoughts of other people. Oh, I feel like we're just being baited all the time. Every moment I look at a news headline, I feel like there's just a little bit of bait there for me to forget the truth of my being, to get all uppity and engaged. And I do every day. But my spiritual practice has amplified, not just to my meditation time, but now every time I'm opening and looking at the news, every time I'm having a conversation, every time I'm out in the world, I remember I'm looking at corn crops. I remember that we collectively have planted seeds, and now we get to collectively choose to plant something different. So this week, you have the opportunity to remember to live from your unity consciousness. You get to remember that you're part of the whole, that the divine lives within you and expresses through you. Knowing that within the hectic and ever-changing background of life, you are always in the divine womb. Oh, I love how that feels. We are in that divine womb because within the womb space is where creation happens. So much is happening in that process of creation, in that safe space. There's nothing outside of you because it's all one thing. You're not separate from life. You are life. Just remember when needed to simply take a moment to pause your doing, observe your thoughts, and remember who you are. You are the flow of God as oneness. And so we're going to move into prayer now. If you have a prayer request, I see one. Thank you, Tamara. If you have any other prayer requests, please put them here in the chat, and I'll be sure to include them. So turning back within, and again, we pause. Again, we move into that counterintuitive busyness and step into the silence that is within us, that is that still small voice. We recognize that there is only one life, one God, one love, one heart, one mind. And we are part of that. We are inseparable. We are eternal. That everything we experience is an expression of that one life, that one heart, that one mind. And even in the midst of the chaos and the ups and the downs and the backs and the forths and the rising of the tides, I know that all I am experiencing is God itself, expressing itself in a multitude and an infinite number of ways. And in the beauty and in the tragedy is always the love of the divine, the power, presence, and creative force of the one. And so knowing, just knowing that there is no separation from me to that, from every being on this planet, from this beloved CSL community, I am just knowing that peace is right where we are at. In this moment, in every moment, that love is right where we are at, that creative force that we are is right where we are at in this moment, in every moment, because there is never a place where God is not. There is never a time when we are not the powerful creators of our reality, of our universe. And so in this place of power and presence and knowing that we are so deeply connected, I am knowing for Rusty that he is recovering beautifully, that his sight is clear, his vision is moving back into its own perfect wholeness. And knowing that for the upcoming processes and surgeries that Rusty is experiencing, that those hands, those support people that are in that place of recovery and healing for him are so divinely guided by that light. I know for each and every one of us, health and wholeness is right where we are. And there is an intelligence here that speaks to us and tells us and informs us what our next step to more align to that, to express that wholeness and health even more fully. That intuition is so clear, so loud. And whatever blocks and obstacles are in the way of any being, of listening to that higher voice, I am seeing them, knowing them to be dissolving in this moment. For we are that one clear channel. The divine is speaking through us. That wherever there is strife and unrest on this planet, I know peace is breaking out, exponentially flowing over. I know the true being of our love, of ourselves, of our life is to love and express itself as that. And so I am knowing in this moment, love is breaking out. It's infusing and bringing back into wholeness, of dissolving the illusion of separation. For there is no darkness, because darkness is only the absence of light. There is no hatred. It is just the absence of love. And when we put our sights firmly on the truth of the situation, which is we are love, the rest dissolves and fades away. And so, with deep gratitude for this beautiful community, for this amazing opportunity, for these teachings, for all that is given to us, I am so deeply, eternally grateful. And we just hand it over to that universal source, life, creator that says, yes, 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 yes. We let go. We allow it to be. And so it is.
Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water and let go. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Ride with the flow. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water and let go. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Right with the flow. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water, children. Drop the oars in the water and let go. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water, children. Right with the flow. Drop your oars in the water. It's alright. Drop your oars in the water and enjoy the ride. Drop your oars in the water. Drop your oars in the water. Drop your oars in the water and let go. Drop your oars in the water. Drop your oars in the water and ride with the flow. Drop your oars in the water. It's alright to let go. Drop your oars in the water. Enjoy the ride. Maybe you'll sing it with me. Drop your oars in the water. Drop your oars in the water. Drop your oars in the water and let go. Drop your oars in the water. Drop your oars in the water. Ride with the flow. Thank you.
Oh, so beautiful, so beautiful. Thank you, Reverend Melinda. Thank you, Leah. Woo! I don't know about you, but this always recharges my batteries. When I join CSL Leesburg, my battery might be low, but I'm set for the coming week now. All right, now is the time that we bless the donations. Your donations let us do what we do every Sunday. And as you heard in the opening video, we believe in the law of circulation. So as you give, so shall we receive. As we receive, we give. We give to our home organization, to other organizations that support our vision of helping to create a world that works for everyone. And isn't that just the statement for where we are right now? Let's plant those seeds and create a world that works for everyone. So no matter how you are giving, if you're a regular, odds are you see something on the screen. If you're not a regular, look at the screen. There's so many ways that you can give. It's easy to find a way that works for you. And as we do that, take one more look and then join me in the blessing of our gifts. The presence of Spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. And so it is. Now it's time for announcements. So Spotify, can you believe it? Look at what our amazing Reverend Charlene has been doing behind our backs. I shouldn't really say it that way. I should say setting things up for us, and then had this great reveal last Sunday. We are now on Spotify. So if you miss one of our messages, one of our Sunday services, or if you just want to hear it again, because there's always different things that jump out at you when you listen to it a second time, or maybe you want to hear that music one more time, or maybe you want to hear the meditation because your battery is running low and you need that meditation again. Just go to Spotify, look for CSL Leesburg, and get your spiritual tune-up. Oh, how exciting. And dream study. Of course, there's dream study. So on alternating Saturdays at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Charlene and friends join to discuss their dreams, interpret their dreams, help each other interpret their dreams. Because just like Reverend Melinda said, like our consciousness is always working, always sending us divine wisdom, divine guidance. And sometimes those messages appear in our dreams, and sometimes we need a little help finding the message. So if you're interested, join Charlene and her friends next Saturday, March 8th, as they do dream study. All right. So if you're able, stay with us for a little bit after our service. We do something called Pearls, where we share what resonated with us from the meditation, from the music, from the message. We chat about things that are interesting. Sometimes you get wonderful book recommendations, sometimes even movie recommendations, but we just kind of hang around. This is our coffee hour, and we just chat. If you can do that, please stay. And if you can't, know that we send you off with our love and blessings. But first, we're going to do our closing affirmation. So unmute. Give me some love. I want to hear you. So join me in saying, I am love.
I am
I
love.
am love.
Thank you. Now send this message out to someone who might be in the room with you, a friend, a furry companion, just somebody who needs to hear this. You ready? You are love.
You are love.
You
are love.
Beautiful. And now we do something called love sprinkles, and we just remind ourselves it's all God, it's all good, all is well. It's all love. Here we go. You ready? It's all love.
all love.
Beautiful. Thank you again for joining us. If you can, please stay. And if you can't, I'm sending you off with love and blessings. See you next Sunday.